Check, mic check. Sounds good. Thank you.
Good morning. Our first song is number 1008 in the turquoise hymnal. You could stand and join us. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we draw some wisdom in each of us, every color, every creed and kind, and we see our faces in each other's eyes, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we tell our story from deep inside, and we listen with loving mind, and we hear our voices in each other's words, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we share the silence of sacred space, and the God of our hearts stirs within, and we feel the power of each other's faith, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place.
Thank you, Jean and Linda, for leading us in our music today while Madeline's away. We sure appreciate it. Great song, great start. Good morning, everyone. Great to have all of you here. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Spokane, where we join together to create a nourishing, liberal, religious home and to champion justice, diversity, and environmental stewardship in our wider world, or as we say in short, to create community, find meaning, and live justly. I want to begin, as always, by welcoming all of you to this space, whether it is in the physical space here in Spokane or those of you who are streaming with us or Zooming with us this morning. It's wonderful to have all of you. As always, we embrace all of you, all that you bring with you, all of your uniqueness, your unique beliefs, your background, your lifestyle, your experiences, all that helps make you who you are is welcome here this morning. So welcome to one and all. I don't know if I have any announcements to make this morning, so I'm going to assume I don't. So why don't we say hello to our friends on Zoom this morning. I think Shelley can bring them up for us. Oh, and I'm right in the center. There I am. Hello, Todd. Hello. Who else is there? Who else is on Zoom besides me?
Well, there's, as I hope you can see now, there is about 12 of us, I guess, and mostly familiar faces, but we're blessed by a visit from, I guess, COVID, which we won't catch, from Dan and his wife, who are here normally in the congregation, but have joined us on Zoom from Spokane. So welcome to them, and best wishes in recovering. And it is nice when people from the congregation come and visit us here. I was talking earlier about you can watch it on streaming, but if you come to this service, yeah, you get real people. So we appreciate that. And unless I don't know if anybody else has any announcement thing they'd like to share from Zoom land.
Well, I just like to thanks for that song. I once heard Joyce Poley sing her song. It's a very famous song, and she was from, if I remember right, years ago.
Okay.
Oh, thanks for
for
that.
that, Dick.
Yeah, that's great piece of history, and thanks to all of you for joining us. And yeah, Zoom is a great opportunity. I know for those who like to stream a lot, you might check out the Zoom sometime, because folks do stay around after the service and chat a bit, and that's a great way to get to know some of our members from around the countries, if you will. And Dan and Kay, we're sorry that you guys are dealing with COVID. I hope it's a mild case and you guys get well soon. Let's go ahead and take a few moments now to greet one another, both here and online.
I'm doing better. I think the sun helps a great deal. I have lost my wallet at my house somewhere because nobody's used any cards, but it's very frustrating. I've had help looking for it too. Right. No, it's not there. So I think I'm just gonna have to go down there and get a new one, and as soon as I do, the old one will pop up. Yeah, one of the laws of the universe. How are you and Peggy?
Good. Yeah, we're doing fine. And again, a little bit of a respite last week. She also had COVID. Wasn't bad. Just to sit for a day, but we made her stay home. She's already cleared, not contagious anymore. I had it last month, so I don't know where she got it. It wasn't for me, but it's kind of like getting a little bit of a flu.
Right, the
Those
sun
that
is
have been
dangerous.
vaccinated, yeah.
That's good.
But it is going around. I know more people who have it now than I did during the probably because we were all isolated.
Yeah.
All right, as always, more time to visit during social hour following the service, but let's move forward now by lighting our chalice, the symbol of our unity and our solidarity, of our openness and our inclusion, of our community and our individual uniqueness. May this small flame be our offering of warmth to those who are cold and alone, and a light to those in darkness. May it be a flame that ignites justice in our world and a beacon of hope to those in need, and may it reflect at least a spark of truth wherever truth has been lost, and cast a healthy shadow of doubt wherever it's been found.
Happy St. Patrick's Day. I have to put that in there. Our opening reflection is this poem by Portia Nelson entitled Autobiography in 5 Short Chapters. Chapter 1. I walk down the street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I fall in. I am lost. I am helpless. It isn't my fault. It takes forever to find a way out. Chapter 2. I walk down the same street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I pretend I don't see it. I fall in again. I can't believe I am in the same place, but it isn't my fault. It still takes a long time to get out. Chapter 3. I walk down the same street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I see it is there. I still fall in. It's a habit. My eyes are open. I know where I am. It is my fault. I get out immediately. Chapter 4. I walk down the same street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I walk around it. Chapter 5. I walk down a different street.
We're going to sing together number 1007 in the Aqua Book, or on that screen. There's a river flowing in my soul. If you'd like to stand.
There's a river flowing in my soul. There's a river flowing in my soul. And it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my soul. There's a river flowing in my heart. There's a river flowing in my heart. And it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my heart. There's a river flowing in my mind. There's a river flowing in my heart. And it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my mind. There's a river flowing. There's a river flowing. There's a river flowing in my soul.
We're now going to kindle our candles of care for those who are most on our hearts and minds this morning, and begin as we have on behalf of the people of Ukraine and that region of the world suffering from the war and violence, tragedy there, as well as the Palestinian people and the people of Israel and others in that region of the world that are suffering from the cruelties and violence happening today. Also want to kindle a candle for church member Larry Hodge, who is recovering from successful bypass surgery earlier this week. And let's take a moment of silence on behalf of others you might be thinking of, and as always, you're welcome to name them aloud at this time if you'd like. Those named aloud and those embraced in our silence, and all those who are suffering in our world at this hour, we hold in our community with compassion. And we now gratefully give and receive this morning's offering, which helps sustain this community and our mission to the larger world. Thank you, Maura. We have such incredible talent, musical talent in our church, and I always appreciate the opportunities when Maura has to just singularly play for us, because you're such an extraordinary musician. To get to hear you play is really a special part of our services. So thank you.
Yes.
All right, as usual, I brought a guest to help me with our time for all ages. All right, a familiar face, but not a pretty one. Well, you're pretty enough, Mortimer. Our old friend Mortimer Snurd. Where? You're Mortimer Snurd. Mortimer. Oh, I am, that's right. Okay, so you seem to be even more distracted than usual, forgetting your own name. What's on your mind? Well, I have half a nine to tell you. Okay, well, go ahead. Well, gosh darn it, whatever it is on the other half. I see. Well, why don't you just tell us what you're worried about then? My birthday. Your birthday? Well, that's nothing to worry about. A birthday is a happy occasion. When is it? When's what? When is your birthday, Mortimer? That's what we're talking about. So when were you born? Well, I was born the day that a large bird dropped me off at my parents' house. Oh, now, tell me that you don't still believe that you were delivered by a stork. By a stork? No, oh gosh, no. No, I was delivered by a dodo bird. Okay, no, that's nonsense, Mortimer. Dodo birds are extinct. Well, that explains why Non's eyes watered and Dad held his nose the first time they saw me. Mortimer, I said extinct, not stink. But let's get back to your birthday. So, what day were you born? Well, let's see. I'm pretty sure it was a Monday. Okay, how can you be so sure it was a Monday if you can't even remember the exact date? Well, because just last Tuesday, somebody said I act like I was born yesterday. Okay, well, I know that you happen to have been born in 1938, which makes you 86 years old, which you're looking pretty good. And is that why you're worried about your birthday, because you don't like getting older? Oh, no, I don't mind getting older. I'm worried about my birthday cake. You're worried about your birthday cake. Why on earth would you be worried about your birthday cake? Well, somebody told me I can't have my cake and eat it too. I have to have it before I can eat it, but if I have it, I can't eat it. I hate to let all that cake just sit there and go to waste. Okay. Is this somebody, the same person who told you that you were born yesterday? How'd you know? And is this somebody named Charlie McCarthy? Well, you must be half a mind reader. Yeah, I tell you. I'll talk to Charlie about teasing you later. He knows how impressionable you are. But Mortimer, the saying that you can't have your cake and eat it too isn't really about cake. It's a metaphor. Now, do you understand? Well, you're the half a mind reader. You tell me. Okay, I'm guessing not. But it just means that sometimes in life we have to make difficult decisions because we can't have everything we want. Either you eat your cake now or you save it for later. But there's no way to do both. Do you understand? I think so. I'd better eat my cake now or Charlie will get it. That's exactly what I mean. But actually, it's probably a smart idea to do that. So, gosh, nobody ever said that to me before. What's that? That I had a smart idea. Well, I'll tell you what, Mortimer. Once we figure out when your birthday actually is, I'll make sure that you have a cake big enough to share with all your friends, including Charlie, and so you can all have a piece. Which do you prefer, chocolate or vanilla? Oh, I'll have to get back to you on that. Okay, it is a difficult decision. Take all the time that you need. Say goodbye. Goodbye.
Now is our time in our service for some meditation. So please find a receptive, relaxed posture. Put your feet on the floor, close your eyes, and take some deep breaths while I lead you into contemplation with this Irish blessing. May your mornings bring joy and your evenings bring peace. May your troubles grow less as your blessings increase.
Thanks again, Maura. So this morning I'm continuing something I started, I guess, last year, occasionally bringing back one of John Deitrich's sermons. I'm not going to go into a great deal about who John Deitrich was, but he was a very famous Unitarian who was, his first Unitarian ministry was actually at this church from 1911 until 1916. He was convicted of heresy by the Dutch Reformed Church, and this church called him immediately to be their minister. And here he discovered humanism and went on to become known as the Father of Religious Humanism, as well as a signer of the Humanist Manifesto. I was installed as your minister 100 days to the day he gave his first sermon in Spokane. Quite coincidentally, I found out afterwards. And we share a real kinship. I think Dietrich and I are of one mind on many things, particularly his humanistic ethic. And I particularly chose today's sermon because it's entitled The Terrible Choice, the Philosophy of Either Or, where he's really saying, sometimes we have to make a hard decision, particularly around certain ideologies, if we are to move forward. And I thought about so many of the different things that we are going through today and the difficulties in making hard choices about what is and isn't true, what is and isn't real. But we cannot move forward, as Lisa's wonderful opening story sort of said, until we're willing to say, it's time for me to get off this street. It's not working for me. I keep getting stuck here. So really a great metaphor for what we're doing today. The other thing I would say is that Dietrich, unlike me, was very long-winded. So in fairness, I have to reduce his sermons quite a bit. So his original sermon was almost 16 pages, 11-point font, single space. Yeah, and that's typical of his sermons. My treatment is only 15 pages, 11-point font. No, I'm kidding. It's not quite 6 pages of 12-point font, so quite a bit shorter. The wonderful thing about working with his material, though, is he was so good about giving so many examples and anecdotes indicative of his main points that you can get rid of a lot of those and not lose a single point that he makes, and still keep enough of the anecdotes and examples to get the message across. I actually think they're better sermons after I've worked with them. As a communicator, keeping things concise is important. So, and this one was originally given during a Sunday service at the First Unitarian Church, or Society, I should say, of Minneapolis in February of 1918. So there's also this sort of historical opportunity to look at the minds of what people were thinking about dealing with that long ago, more than 100 years ago. And at the same time, how much has stayed the same. So here goes. The history of the human family shows on every page that when people falter between two ideals, unable to make a decision, they degenerate. The prophets of humanity have ever appeared to call upon mankind to make a choice of ideals and then follow the chosen one without faltering. There's a story in the Old Testament of Elijah calling the people of Israel to a decision between worshiping the desert god, Jehovah, who brought them through the wilderness to the promised land, and once settled there, worshiping the Canaanites' agricultural gods, the Baal. Elijah said, you cannot halt between two opinions. Either Jehovah is God or Baal is God. If Jehovah is God, worship him, and if Baal is God, worship him. Of course, there were probably other choices too, but we'll leave it at those two for now. About 1,000 years later, the people of Israel were called upon to make a choice by another prophet, Jesus of Nazareth, who said, you cannot serve God and mammon. There can be no harmony between these two ideas. The serving of one precludes the serving of the other. One on the other hand, therefore, or one or the other, therefore, must go, if peace and happiness and progress is desired. One or the other must go if peace and happiness and progress is desired. Another 1,000 years passed, and a similar issue was presented to the people of Florence by a great monk of the Catholic Church who stood upon the public plaza and cried to his hearers, "The Medici or the people?" There could not be two rulers in the Republic of Florence. Either the power of the royal house of the Medici should be supreme, or the will of the people should be supreme. I might continue to cite examples of the call of the prophets for a decision by the people, but my subject was inspired by that telling sentence in Robert Browning's most wonderful poem, The Ring of the Book. Life's business being just the terrible choice. Life's business being just the terrible choice. His point being that the good in a person cannot absolve the darkness, nor the darkness compensate for the good. Life is about making a choice between the two, painstaking as such choices can be. Now to come to ourselves. I have found these days a general inclination to dodge great issues and to give crucial questions the go-by. Religion is no exception. I think in this respect it is the greatest sinner. New views of truth and new solutions to our great problems fail to stir the pulses of their followers who prefer to drift with the tide and to go with the crowd. They are strangers to the glorious thrill which comes with a new conviction, with a new birth of the soul, with a new vision of the future. Hence they bear no fruits, but live barren and empty lives. They never make the terrible choice. Humanity's whole life is made up of terrible choices, which finds its clearest expression in the sphere of religion. Either the things of which religion speaks are realities, or they are illusions. If they are realities, let us embrace them. If they are illusions, let us dismiss them. In either case, we must know, and to know we must inquire, we must search, we must seek a decision. We must inquire and search to ascertain the facts. Either religion is something that has been revealed to us by a higher power, or it is a natural product of human ideals and aspirations which have been sanctioned by tradition and society. In other words, either religion is revealed or it is natural. Either it is of God or it is of mankind. Here is a vital issue, and there is no way of sidestepping it. The decision one makes here will consciously or unconsciously determine every aspect of one's life. All of one's values will be established according to which of these horns one chooses to be impelled upon. Either one must turn to God for every ray of light, which one may hope to receive in the realm of truth and right, or one must turn to the results of the study and experience of humanity and one's own inner consciousness. There's no middle way. It is the terrible choice which every individual must make. Consider what is said to be the revelation of God, the Bible. Either the Bible is the Word of God, or it is not. Either it was written by men to whom God dictated his will, or it was written by men just as other books have been written by men. Again, there is no middle course, yet many people halt between two opinions, agreeing that the Bible is not the Word of God, yet claiming it somehow is a different book from all the others in the world, having a quality of inspiration about it that is unique, that sets it apart. But if it be merely a collection of the literature of a certain period of the Jewish people, then of what more authority is it than a collection of the literature of the English or American or any other people? It is indeed a valuable portion of the religious literature of the world, but its authority is no greater than the authority of the truth which it may contain. The terrible choice must be made. Shall we interpret everything in the light of the traditions and dogmas of the church, or shall we interpret them in the light of history and science? The church is still at odds with science, indeed with the entire intellectual world. Her creeds and standards remain grotesquely antiquated, laughably out of line with the facts and methods of physical science and of the teaching of history. The official story of the origin of the universe and of humanity is hopelessly out of alignment with the facts. There are two methods of attempting to ascertain the truth. One is the traditional and theological, the other is the scientific and historical. We cannot forever halt between these two methods. The terrible choice must be made. Either the one alternative or the other. If we ask what the principal dogma of Christianity is, we must answer it is the incarnation. The incarnation means that the eternal God took upon himself the human form and did this in order that we might offer sufficient atonement for the awful human guilt which came as the result of the disobedience of the first man. The other distinctive doctrines, such as the miraculous birth, the atonement, the bodily resurrection, the ascension, the Trinity, heaven and hell, are necessary inferences, the inevitable developments, the logical results of the dogma of the incarnation. There is no logical halfway house. You must accept all or reject all, up to the fairy heaven and down to the English hell. Now, this prodigious dogmatic pyramid of Christianity rests, as I have said, upon the theory of the incarnation. That is, upon Jesus. The person and work of Jesus, the cosmological significance of Jesus, the metaphysical nature of Jesus, not to mention the small matter of the historical existence of Jesus. Here then is another either-or issue of the most tremendous importance. Either Jesus was God or he was a man. This is an issue which cannot be put off forever by men and women of intelligence. Only as God can he be accepted as a standard and pattern of what all human life and character must be, to the end of time and amid all varieties of men and women. If, on the other hand, he was a man, then to make him an object of worship, however pure his humanity might be, is idolatry, the kind of idolatry from which, if he corresponds at all to the gospel pictures of him, he would have fled in horror. Yet there is a tendency in liberal Christianity today, a tendency, I regret to say, in certain quarters of Unitarianism, to deny the deity of Jesus, but to place him on a pinnacle as the greatest teacher and the most sublime revelation of the good that has ever lived. The great cry today is to return to the teachings of Jesus, for therein lies the secrets of all good. Even the churches which have corrupted them must return to the pure teachings of Jesus, they insist, because Jesus was the greatest moral leader the world has ever seen. Let me remind you of a few facts. And what I say, may it be understood, is said in reverence and in appreciation and admiration of everything that Jesus ever said and did or was. But it must be said in the interest of truth and clear thinking. Jesus was not an educated man. He was not a graduate of any school or college or university. He did not have a business or political experience. He never traveled for study or observation, probably never having been more than 50 miles from his isolated home. He was not surrounded by people of culture or extensive knowledge, his only associates being rough country fishermen He never met the great minds or leaders of the day who lived in Rome and Greece. He stayed in the ranks of the rear guard of humanity. He led the life of a hermit with no place where to lay his head. He lived in all probability on charity. He was never married nor had any children, and died at the age of 30. How could so young and so untutored and so inexperienced a man, unless he was God, be accepted as the greatest teacher the world has ever seen? If he was a man, then his teachings have just as much authority as the truth they contain, and no more. And this also may be said of every other teacher the world has ever had. There is no middle way, life's business being just the terrible choice. This course of thought drives us down and ever down towards the deepest and most fundamental and most vital of all issues. I was going to say the issue between theism and atheism, but that decision has practically been made. A generation ago, that was a mighty issue, a terrible choice between God and no God, but the decision has been made in favor of some kind of a God. In other words, there are a few philosophical atheists today. Everybody believes in some great force at the heart of the universe. If one does not call it God, it's merely because the word God has been identified with so many crude and impossible things that one doesn't wish to risk misunderstanding. But in practice, there is still a terrible choice to be made, the choice between theism and humanism. Between the theory that this world is controlled by an almighty personal being outside of it or by human beings inside of it. And here is our sharp either-or again. Either God controls the world or people control it. Either we must look to God for help or we must depend upon ourselves. Either we should praise and honor God for all that has been accomplished in the world, or we should praise and honor humanity. We cannot always halt as we do today between two opinions, talking about a God-governed world and living as though it is controlled by humankind. To understand the significance of this choice, there are two theories of this universe. The theistic view that teaches that the world is under the control of a supernatural being, that everything that is done in accordance with his will, and that without his will nothing can be done. The other is the humanistic view, which teaches that everything that is done in this world is done by mankind in accordance with the laws of nature. In the theistic order, all acts whatsoever are the result of the will of a supreme being. Man's will or action amounting to little or nothing. At best, people can only pray and hope. If a man wants more rain, let him pray. If he wants freedom from disease, let him petition his God. If he wants food, let him ask, and perhaps a raven will bring it. If he fears any natural force, such as wind or fire or storm, let him pray for protection from his God. In this view, all the evils of the world are considered a necessary part of the supernatural order of things, and hence no effort has been made to remove them. The believers of this kind of a universe did not attempt to banish illness, for illness was simply a visitation of divine wrath. They did no attempt to abolish poverty, for they consoled themselves with the thought of their master. The poor you will always have with you, and blessed are the poor, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. But the humanistic worldview holds that this is humanity's world, and that it depends upon humanity what the world shall be like. The adherents of this view holds that if a man wants more water, he must build reservoirs and lay pipelines. If he wants freedom from pestilence, he must develop medical science. He must devise his own protection, build dikes, and form fire companies. If he would eliminate his woes, he must do it himself. The method of progress is humanistic religion. In humanistic religion is human effort, not divine intervention. Any dependence upon a supernatural power to do anything is disastrous to humankind. Humanity, with its own strength, must grapple with the forces of nature. Humanity, with its own strength, must face and solve its problems. Humanity, with its own strength, must work out its own salvation. There are no ministering angels. The good fairies are gone forever. Recognizing this, those who have accomplished things in this world have laid aside their theology and taken up science. And by means of science, wonderful achievements have been attained. For instance, 50 years ago, more than that now, we knew practically nothing about the Great Plagues. But today, science has wiped them out of existence. And scientific thought and earnest endeavor are rapidly accomplishing the things we people prayed for in vain for centuries. So here is the terrible choice. Terrible because it runs down to the roots of every idea and thought, every word uttered, every deed done. As far as I'm concerned, I have made the choice, and I feel it my bounden duty to try to help others make this same choice, since I believe that all good to be attained depends upon this choice. I believe that we are the actual creators of this world we live in. Everything that makes the world different from the jungle has been accomplished by human beings. We have learned within recent years that we cannot depend upon some external supernatural force for guidance, but that we must depend upon ourselves, that is, ourselves and one another. We have learned that there is no need of a miracle-working, heaven-creating God. Nay, he is our enemy, to the extent that we are led to depend upon him for the results we should accomplish ourselves. There is a miracle-working, heaven-creating power in ourselves. So long as we pray to another, this power is dishonored. Until it is awakened, there is no salvation. We need, therefore, to preach as never before a faith in humanity, in our own ability to make this world what we will. The future lies wide open to us. We're no longer oppressed by having to do the will of another and superior being. Our wills are our own to do with as we wish. We can both choose what we will and do what we choose. We can mark out our own goal and take our own line to get there. If all the people of this world should decide upon a certain kind of world and the way to attain it, there is no power in the universe that could prevent its accomplishment. This is a standpoint which must most profoundly affect our whole attitude and mind. Its importance cannot be exaggerated. Think of it. Men and women, we can make of this world what we will. And we are responsible for what we do make of it. We are responsible for what we do make of it. In the light of the responsibilities which rest upon us as a result of this decision, I feel that my most important work in this world is to help people make this terrible choice, this tremendous decision in favor of humanism, in order that their thoughts may be turned from the altars of departed gods to the tasks which lie about them, in order that they may realize that the destiny of this planet is in their hands. For once we transfer our efforts from seeking help from heaven whence no help comes, to a firm and confident reliance upon ourselves, the progress of humanity is assured. Danger is greatest when things grow to equality, said Lord Bacon, meaning in things social and political. And truly, we may apply his words to those conditions of our time which tend to create equality between revealed and natural religion, between the Bible as the Word of God and the words of human beings, between Jesus as God and Jesus as a man, between Christianity and science, between, above all, theism and humanism. Life's business is just the terrible choice between these tremendous issues, which shallow interpretations seek to neutralize and explain away. We must choose whom we are to serve. In one of the greatest of Beethoven's sonatas, while the music ripples peacefully on, suddenly there comes 4 dull, sullen chords like blows. A musical critic said that Beethoven meant them for fate knocking at the door. Fate is knocking at the door of this age. Let those with ears hear. The choice may be terrible, but it is imperative. For that cause and to that end are we in the world. It is just life's business. Thank you.
Our final hymn is We Shall Overcome, 169 in the gray hymnal. Please stand.
Our benediction is a traditional Irish blessing. May the road rise up to meet you. May the wind be always at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face and rain fall softly upon your fields. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the hollow of his hand. Amen. Blessed be. Salam alaikum and shalom.
Paul Simon used to sing it.
Paul Simon, yes. Yeah, but